Ready?
Welcome to the show that is called, What About This Idea?
Yeah.
What about this idea?
Why does it feel like it's been so long since we recorded a show?
It has been so long.
Is
The
that
last
because
show that
someone
we
took a
recorded
vacation?
was the end of our last season.
Oh.
It was the couch
Oh,
recording.
that's right. The couch sessions. You know,
Yeah.
that's our biggest hit on the social medias.
Well, maybe we should do all our shows on the couch.
Yeah, but would have the three of us on a couch, the cuddle show.
It's like when you go to a bar with four people and you sit at the bar and eat.
Yeah, and you're
And
like,
then
hey,
you're like,
Steve.
there's like the two end people never interact.
Yeah.
They don't know each other.
I think we'd probably we'd get like one show in and then we'd lose our ability to get new guests.
Like, I'm not going on that damn couch.
Did you see what they're doing now? Those people are weird. Oh, I think I gotta get my camera just. There I am.
Oh.
Hi, me.
Oh my God. Here we go.
Oh,
Here
yeah.
we
Oh,
go. Well, I'm super happy to be back in the studio.
I am too.
And we have a guest.
Oh, I was gonna point out my widow's peak.
No, I'm not even going to. I've already tried to get you to
All
fix
right,
that.
I can't fix it. I'm just gonna get it cut off. It's time. Speaking of, look at that handsome head of hair.
I
over
know.
there.
That's what I'm saying. Here we go. He's all trimmed up and ready to go.
Yeah.
Our friend, Victor Thompson. Thank you for coming today into this chaos.
Yes, thank you for inviting me.
It's lovely chaos.
It's fun chaos.
It is fun chaos.
Yeah.
We have a great time with the show. Hi, Victor.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
How are you, Sam?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Now, I
And
know
the widow
Victor.
speak is really not that.
I know. It is, well, it's weird.
I don't mind having it. I just feel like it looks like I've got a comb over or something. Like I'm trying to hide it. My hair's at a weird length right now or something. I should just get it.
But that could be you, right? You could say, hey,
This is me.
yeah.
I mean, I have
I want to
started.
look like I have a comb over without actually having one.
Oh, maybe the comb overs are coming back.
coming
Or you
back.
could keep growing it and be an Einstein thing.
I could do that.
We could get some
I have it-
dippity do and put it in your hair and
Fully
like, what?
dippity do.
Yeah.
Wow, you're bringing it way back. I have embraced this Brillo cream.
What do they call it in Brother, Where Art Thou? His
Hair
favorite,
grease?
his favorite hair grease was like,
Isn't that what they call
he
it?
only had it. No, he only had one brand that he liked.
Oh.
It was like, I'll think of it before maybe won't. Maybe just
We'll see.
all of you will have to fill in the
Come
blank.
to you in a-
I'll tell you what, whoever comments the correct answer in the YouTube comments gets a free gift from Juliet.
Yeah, a free piece of merch. How about that?
It's going to be crappy.
No, it's going to be great.
It's going to be like a notebook that says like, you're the best.
You're the
on
best. We
front of it.
love you.
Yeah.
Thanks for
So
being our
I'm just
number one
kidding. She'll get you
fan.
something nice. She's fancy.
I am. I love to give gifts.
Yes.
do. Yeah.
Yep.
Do.
Victor, you get your face in that microphone.
My face in the microphone.
You can pull it. You can pull it toward you. A little bit. There you go. Yeah.
Kinds of stuff with it.
Yeah. I like it.
I can have fun with it. Okay.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
take
There
it
you
wherever
go.
I go. Okay.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's,
It's yours. So, what are you doing here?
that's a really good question. I have no idea.
I know Victor a little better than you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can tee up a little bit, or should we
love to
just
hear it.
have him introduce yourself? Your choice.
Oh.
You're in the dark.
I suppose I could just ask. I know we got just a brief chance to meet each other at the beginning, but like if you had to describe, I hate the elevator pitch thing. It always makes me crazy when people who are like in power, they're like, tell me what you're doing in 13 seconds. And if you don't hook me,
What's your
I'm out.
30-second pitch?
Like, I've got 13 seconds? Like, Jesus. No, I need a little more time. It's complicated.
Especially you, because you are
I like
word
the big,
wizard.
long story, yeah.
You like to weave a good story.
If you were to describe what it is that you do in a relatively quick way, not 13 seconds, not on an elevator, just like, what is it you do?
Just on an elevator.
long-
I actually
long
teach
elevator.
entrepreneurs about elevator pitches. So, it's kind of like I work with first generation entrepreneurs to live in their legacy that they're leaving.
Oh, I love legacy. I love the word. I love I've done a lot of thinking about it over the years.
And that's not really what I do, but that's what I say I
That's
do.
what you end up
But I
doing.
like that.
You know, that's funny. I love the way you've done that. And I can tell that you're experienced that way because he's telling you what he does, not how he does it. Right? Like the toolbox.
Is that the issue I
oftentimes
have?
that's the way we introduce ourselves, by the toolbox. This is what I do. These are all the how things, and people are trying to decipher the impact.
I
right?
think that's a mistake I make.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do because
Yeah.
you're
Well, how
used
do
to-
you introduce yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, I never know. I'm 100% an entrepreneur, and I love working on problems or solving issues or whatever. And then I have multiple businesses that all kind of center around community and getting voices out there and stuff. They're all sort of in that world, but they're different.
And that
That's
told
pretty
me
good.
nothing about
It's
what you
very,
do. But
like,
okay,
nothing,
yeah,
yeah.
no.
So I told you.
But you have multiple businesses. And, to be totally honest, so do I. And I don't actually, and that doesn't do justice totally. But,
Right.
we were talking about perfection, imperfection, right?
Yes, I really want to get into that. one with you.
Imperfection, right? I'm constantly revising how I introduce myself.
Good.
Yeah.
I get it. You said first generation entrepreneurs. I want to know what that means.
It's people who have never had an example of being an entrepreneur before, or you feel like you haven't. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm technically a second generation entrepreneur. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm even a third generation.
Probably
I have
longer.
no idea.
Yeah.
However, I know both my mom and my dad had businesses. So,
Right.
but I didn't feel like I knew how to start a business. So,
Well, we have this show about entrepreneurship, and I think feeling like you don't know how to start a business, I think it's a rare person that you will meet who understands that they're an entrepreneur before they become an entrepreneur. You know what I mean?
is true.
Is that
Yeah, I think it's a hard title to own, right? Because, it's like, no, I'm just trying out this business sort of thing. I just like doing this thing. I've got a little bit, it's just a little business. Like, and then I started another business because I needed that thing
Totally.
too. And then it's like, no, I'm just a small business owner. And it's like, no, actually you're an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
like
that's the way you think.
I can see the 17 different hats on your head.
Yeah.
You are an entrepreneur. You just don't know it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
entrepreneurs like to start things. So, the term serial entrepreneur is probably a misnomer because if you are an entrepreneur, you probably are a serial.
Yeah, you're not just like,
Yeah,
I'll try that one thing.
right. Otherwise, you're just someone who has a great idea and you wants to start a business. So you're a small business owner. But I
Yep.
think those things there are components of those that are very much the same.
Yep.
And then there are components which are very different because if you're like me, it's like you start something and then you're ready to go start something else. So, you're right, you're off to like, hey, like what's
Gee.
new? What's good? What
I don't know anyone like that.
Do you think that the ADHD is a common trait in entrepreneurs?
Probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit. And your parents had businesses in Detroit.
Yes, actually, some people may not call it. My dad did a business. He actually was the pastor of a church.
That's a
That's a
business.
business.
It is
Yeah,
a business.
Because I
Very
grew
much
up
so.
in it, and I never and maybe it was more me than anything else for a long time. I never really thought of it like that. I thought of it as an obligation that I had to go do every, whatever night it was where my parents drugged me out,
Right.
made me go to church.
That's classic the way kids think of it.
Kind of slave labor.
Kind of, and then, occasionally it'd be like, oh yeah, the lawn needs to be cut. And, it's kind of like, hey, come cut the lawn, at
Yeah.
the church, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that doesn't seem
So-
like a business, but it is.
But it is a business. It is a
totally a
business.
business.
There was a lot of moving parts to it. So
Did you have brothers and sisters?
I have one brother,
Older?
younger.
Younger, so you could push him off on the lawn mowing.
It
Older
didn't
brothers.
work quite that way
Yeah,
all the
right.
time. My
Was it
brother
just
actually grew a lot taller than me. And that
Was it just the two of you?
It was just two of us.
Yeah, plus the youngest boy kind of gets babied by mom.
That's true.
They do.
That's true.
Yeah, well, he was 6'4".
Okay.
So he was a lot taller than me. I wanted his height so I could play basketball.
Yeah.
But, you know, that
We always want what the other has, don't we?
that was my own little petty jealousy or whatever.
Yeah.
So what brought you to Minneapolis? Love or money?
Neither. No, it was
It's a
money.
solid question, though.
It was money. It was money.
It was money.
I actually was.
It was
So I took a detour. I went from Detroit to Ann Arbor, Michigan, where I went to undergrad, and then I went to Rochester, New York, and I went and got my MBA. And then while I was out there, this company called General Mills, or should I be mentioning company?
Oh yeah, they're
Why
they're
not?
future
They
sponsors.
They
for
should really be a
sure.
future sponsor.
Future sponsor,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they actually had me do an internship, and then 3M had me do an internship, and then I was kind of like, why am I always going to
Why am I the intern?
Minneapolis? Right.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's kind of like, what is that? You know, only thing I knew about Minneapolis at the time was some like crazy little dude named Prince. Who,
Yeah, I know.
But I loved
he
his
was our
music.
biggest export
was,
for a
yeah.
very long time.
Yeah, I loved his music. So hey, you
What's not to
I was
love?
like, hey, let me come to Minneapolis, and that's how I ended up here. Is that I came back to work for one of those two companies. I'm not going to tell you which one.
Okay.
You just have to keep guessing.
We'll have to keep
And
guessing.
then
Until they sponsor
look
us.
Look it up
until
on
they sponsor.
LinkedIn.
We'll get the answer
Yeah.
once they sponsor us.
Yeah. I think that's not an uncommon sort of feeling about Minneapolis. It's funny to me because you mentioned Ann Arbor. Detroit's a big city. I would say we're not on the same level as Detroit as far as city-wise, but we're not that far from it. in
What
a
do you
certain-
mean?
People can talk about Rochester and Ann Arbor and Detroit and all of these other places like, yeah, those are cool spots. And then
Yeah.
they're like, Minnesota, they're like, oh shit, I don't know nothing about
It's
Minneapolis.
cold there.
Like
it's cold. Yeah,
it's like
people think
cold
it's
there.
like it's super far away from everything else or something. You know? Like
It's on the other side of the Mississippi, but not far enough on the other side of the Mississippi.
they can talk about Chicago, they can talk about Milwaukee
Right.
as places they've been, they understand it, and then they're like, ooh, Minnesota? Like you actually went there? Like, yes.
It is a little bit like that sometimes, I think.
Yeah.
I know, I had an uncle in San Francisco, and, his thing was, this is just where you fly over, right?
Yeah, it's a
that's what
flyover
We
state.
get called flyover country, right? So, I don't know. I mean, it was a nice... It's a nice little city with a lot of up and coming things going on, and like I said, Prince was here, and
Yeah.
I got connected to Prince like early on in my time in
Did you?
Minneapolis. Yeah,
Love
so
it.
therefore it was kind of like, hey, I'll keep hanging out here because
Yeah.
every time I'm around Prince, good things happen. It seems.
What do you mean you got connected to him?
So I started playing basketball when I was here, like at the gym, and one of the guys that played basketball, he and I became good friends. He just happened to be not the bodyguard for Prince, but the house sitter for Prince.
Okay.
Okay.
So
all
when
right.
Prince left to go out of town, he house sat. So he and I would hang out, and then he would always tell me, "Hey, Prince is throwing this little party. It's like nobody. It's a private party, but I can get you in."
Yep.
So
How could
I
you
would
say
go.
no to that?
You can't say
A guy I
Cannot say-
graduated. No,
I
no,
don't
of
care
course
what
not.
trip you have planned. You're
So I was
canceling
at
it.
I was at Paisley Park before Paisley Park was even open.
Right.
That is
So it was
super
kinda
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was kind of known for that. Like, I mean, it wasn't a huge circle of people, but people got to. He was local and he was
Yeah.
untouchable everywhere else. But he had a group of
Well, he
people.
rode
that-
his bike to everywhere in
Yeah.
Chanhassen. Yeah.
And he was actually a point guard in high school basketball.
Have you seen the
I could see that.
Chappelle Show skit where oh God, is it Eddie Murphy's? It's Charlie Murphy. It's Eddie Murphy's brother, right? Do you know what I'm
I
talking
think
about?
so. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yes,
Yeah.
and Charlie Murphy is recounting this time. It's so fucking funny. I'm serious. I'm laughing just thinking about it. He's recounting this time that he was at a party and Prince was there, and Prince, says, you want to play some basketball or whatever? And Charlie Murphy's like, yeah, I'll whoop your ass at basketball. Oh no.
He's actually pretty good.
Yeah. Oh my God, you got to watch it. I'll just tell the rest of it. They give Charlie Murphy and all of the other people clothes to wear, like basketball shorts and shirts. And Prince and his buddies come out in the same things they were at the party in, like the velvet suit and shit, and just kick their asses.
He could play basketball. He was good. So.
Yeah, it's a great skit. Yeah. But anyway, so you got to hang out with Prince. Yeah, of course you got to stick around here then.
Yeah.
I got to touch him once at First Avenue on the foot.
On the foot.
Because I was right at the stage.
Oh.
And I touched his foot.
Oh, you never washed that hand, did you?
But and they let me touch his foot because he was reaching down for everyone to touch his hands, but he wasn't reaching to me. So I just touched his foot. That's all I got.
Oh, that's more Prince touching than I've ever done.
This show really does kind of go in whatever
it's about
direction
entrepreneurship.
You know, it's like, hey, well, I guess he was an entrepreneur.
He was a
too.
great entrepreneur.
Speaking of entrepreneurs and Prince and bodyguards and whatnot, one of my friends from high school, Tracy Jacobs, was somehow a bodyguard at some point. There's pictures of him in the paper, pushing people back, and Prince is there. And then, but he's an entrepreneur now too. He opened a restaurant. We'll have to reach out to him sometime.
Oh,
He's got a barbecue joint out west of town. So, yeah. Anyway,
I love
Prince.
barbecue.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Okay, so Prince kept you here. You came for a job, and then
money
you were like, this
and
place
love.
is cool.
Yeah, well, actually, the money probably kept me here, but
Yeah.
but it was a nice thing to know that, I actually was someplace where Minneapolis was kind of hopping,
It
at that
still
point.
is, but don't tell people. Don't tell
So
people.
so therefore, it was
we like
like
to keep
this,
that a
this
secret?
kind of thing, right? So
Minneapolis is fun.
yeah,
I don't know. It's still fun.
It's because we're far enough away from everything that people don't think it's awesome, and then they come here and it's awesome. And it's a good city. We've got our problems too. We've had issues with certain things, but it's a pretty decent city.
every city has.
Everything
that's right.
has it. Ours
That's
have
right.
been very public. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about the how.
God, you're right. No, you're totally right. Yes.
Let's talk about the how, because I find it really interesting. I was a client of yours at one point, and the way you introduced yourself makes an enormous amount of sense, but I didn't see it that way at the time. And I was like, that's exactly what he was doing.
Really?
Yeah.
I just like working with people and helping them, though. I mean, if you really cut to the chase and everything, it's like, hey, how can I help people succeed? How can I help them, do all the things that they want to do? And I mean, as an example, you had a dream, you had a vision, right? And it's like, how do we help you manifest your vision?
How did you end up? Okay, so how? How do you do this? What happens? What happens?
Well, I want to ask So you were a client.
I was a
So
client.
you had a need
I did.
that Victor had some sort of solution for, in a way, because that's what being a client is, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I knew Victor, right? So it wasn't like I came in from he works with entrepreneurs, right? I was like, he would be perfect for our needs, right?
Yeah.
And so he helped us really dissect what we had to focus on and communicate better and communicate hard things or communicate great things.
Yeah.
Visions.
So you were you've mentioned abundance and then what's the other one? The other side of it?
Imperfection.
Imperfection.
Yeah.
Yeah. This has been an ongoing topic, I would say, for Juliet and I in a certain way, and some other people, because the idea of abundance is, the concept itself and the whole language around what people mean when they say abundance gets a little murky, I would say, for some people. So do you want to describe that for me a little bit?
Sure. I mean, for me, what it means is that with others, I can do more, right? Mm-hmm. So that there's an infinite amount of resources that we can tap into, but we typically can't do it by ourselves.
We
right?
absolutely cannot.
Right?
Yeah.
So that whole saying 1 + 1 = 3 or whatever, I mean, it really is a multiplying effect. Yeah. So the more good people you have around, the more you can create more, and then you don't have to worry about who's about to grab the last piece of pie, right? I mean,
right.
Because you're just making more pies. That's kind of how I think.
Can you fix the world? for us, please? Because what the H is going on out there that people
Yeah, I have
can't
no
live in
idea,
that.
but I do think that a lot of it is just the basic drive for us to continue to be busy, right? Before we started, Juliet, you talked about doing this bike ride where when you're on the bike, I didn't even think about this before. When you're on a bike, even if you're biking with people, you can't really talk to them because you're on a bike, right? And so and you can't be on the phone. You can't be like
You're just in your head the whole time.
Oh yeah. For some people, maybe that's not the best place. However, what you could find out is that it gives you this opportunity just to kind of chill and be who you.
Yeah. Did you think about a lot of things when you were biking? Or
I really came out of that bike trip like chill, like
refreshed.
because I was super present, and it's almost like forced presence in a sense. I mean, you're biking down the Danube in Austria. It's like not hard to grab your attention and be in the present moment.
Yep.
And I'm biking, so there's physical exertion there. You can't just ignore. You have to. There is a small amount of technique of moving the pedals and steering. So it is a whole, like if I were designing a system of learning presence, forced presence, biking might be a really good one, especially where we were. We were like, okay, all right, camping.
I would do paddling.
Okay, paddling. It's true. But if you're in a canoe with somebody else, you're chatting away.
Nope. Okay. Not if you're out there for 3 weeks. You're like, you know what? Why don't you shut up back there for a couple hours?
Yes, just steal the moment.
No, I'm not trying to steal it.
Camp.
I'm not trying to steal it.
You love camping, huh? Is that what
I love I love what being out in the wilderness. I like not just camping, not just going to a campsite. Like I love long canoe trips. Yes. So, and I love it for the same type of reason. So as you're doing this, I'm thinking
it's true. But I don't often, even though I live kind of rurally in Wisconsin, and I have my city cabin here. Yeah. But I don't take enough time to really just like listen to the birds or just be present and not be in my head, because I'm in my head all the time. I
want to say something, but I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to call you out, but yeah, you have way too much on your plate.
Yeah,
you don't give any of it up.
So much, right?
Yeah, you do it all, and you just sit there and you take it, and you keep scrambling up that stuff on your plate and eating it. You got to take a little break every now and again.
It's true though.
Okay.
It's true though. Yeah. I do have like, if we're going to do an intervention here, which I'm wondering, is that what we're doing?
So actually, this is.
You're wondering why we called you,
Victor.
here
I'm so glad you came in so we could do this intervention. Yeah. No, it's not a bad thing.
I have a distinct level of impatience as well, right? So
and that I can
if someone can't do it for me in the next few days, it's just I need it done, right? So I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, I heard on some other show that I forget what I was listening to, but anyway, we give up on people right before they actually master the thing that we want them to do. Like that impatience screws you and them in a certain way, because you give someone a task, you try and teach them how to do this thing. They're trying their level best to get good at it. And you lose your patience and take them off right at the moment where they're like, oh, if they just would have had a few more days or a few more hours or whatever, they might have gotten it. And then you don't have to do it anymore. So yeah, I that resonated with me when I heard that.
Am I impatient with you?
No, you and I are relatively evenly matched as far as our egos and our output. Like I'll do all the shit too. Like I just keep doing stuff. I can't stop working.
You really scare me.
I'm working all the time.
You look like you're on something.
Yeah.
But,
no, that's part of the entrepreneurship part of us. I think is that we're very good business partners, best business partner ever. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a tendency to take on everything and try and do everything all at once.
Yeah, it's true. We've been better at that. We've got some assistants
Yeah, it's
now.
been really nice.
And so it's been smart.
And you said, Victor,
You add a person, and now it's more than just
that's
3.
right.
It's like
It's
6.
It's like 6.
That's
And
right.
it's amazing what I can do when I'm not doing all that little bullshit. You
I
know,
feel
it's
it
just
too.
it's amazing what I come up with. Like this week, you have been on fuego.
On fuego. That's not the way they say it, but that's cool.
Oh, how do you say
El
it?
Fuego.
En fuego.
En fuego.
Yes, I believe. I said that like I was so confident, and now I'm like, oh God, is it?
I don't know.
I
Anyway,
think it's El Fuego, but
Who
okay.
cares?
Because I think it's
You know what
the
I
fire,
mean.
right? But anyway, who cares? Yeah, you're right. Let's go.
yeah, but so do you help people recognize how they can find ways to, so the abundance thing, I think what people struggle with, like I know that Paige, I'll say hi, Paige, when you tell someone who doesn't have the financial resources right now that they need, when you tell them, all you have to do is live in this abundance mindset, they're like, screw off, like I don't have abundance. What are you talking about? But then you explained it to me that you have to think about the abundance. You have to like not think about the lack of abundance, but
Exactly.
start. Yes. So it's not like just because you did that, all of a sudden you have the stuff you need. It's that you're putting your mind into it.
It's
right?
the mindset.
Yeah.
And that's hard because I think every day when I get up, there's always something that competes and says, no. You can't have that mindset.
Right.
So, and when you talk about finances as an example, I mean, there's always unexpected things that come up. And
it's hard to
hit
find enough
people
of the
all over the
finances.
place, right? And it's like all of a sudden, it's like you're thinking, oh, well, I don't have enough. And so then you're trying to figure out how do you hold on to what you have, which part of what happens is because you hold on to it, there's no production being taken because you're holding on, right?
Right.
And so the more we hold on, the less there actually ends up being.
That's a really logical way of explaining it. That's good.
Yeah. So it sort of means, and we're kind of going through this.
Being called logical. Okay.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
it usually,
that's
I mean, but I explain it in a way that is like, it kind of borders woo-woo, right? Like
a little woo-woo.
a little woo-woo. So the way he said that appeals to the logical people.
Yes, which
Because I
helps
feel
me
like
in a
you
little
just,
way.
it's your brain though. It's like the more you think about lack, the more you see lack because you're thinking about lack. If the more you think about abundance, the more you see abundance.
Woo-woo. I get it though. No, I'm with you. I understand it more. We've been going through this exercise a little bit as a company. We're both shifting into higher gear as far as trying to get the companies to grow. And there's a certain part of that where in that process, it requires that you just sort of trust that the future is going to be okay. And you take the step, whether you have everything in the right place or not, it doesn't matter. We're going to make it work. We're going to do this thing and get it working. So I think that instead of holding on, is,
Because there's inaction, right? And I mean, I think that's what we struggle with. And that's where the imperfection piece comes, is because when we sit there and we try and be perfect, then we never take the action step, right?
Yeah, you were talking about starting a podcast that you've probably been thinking about for years, right?
I've been thinking about it for at least a year and a half, and I haven't executed on it, and that's partially because of that, which was the same thing when I started posting on Instagram. Was so someone else I was coaching, who actually is a marketing genius, I would say, does a lot of work for a lot of companies, helping them post, do their branding, especially on social media. And she said, just go do something.
She's totally
I
right.
just said
She's
the same thing.
100%
Just go
right.
do it.
100%.
She's like, quit worrying about whether or not it's going to be good or not. It's probably not. But guess what? Nobody's probably looking
Nobody
at it
cares,
anyway.
right?
Nobody cares.
It's the thing they say about dancing, right? It's kind of like when you get out there, it's nobody's really watching you because everybody's watching themselves because they're just as concerned.
I take
about
a little umbrage with that.
He doesn't
Oh, do
like
you?
to dance.
They are all watching me, and I am utterly convinced of it.
I
There is
typically am.
nothing.
I thought he's a fun person. He's funny. He likes to, be fun. And then I started doing a little dancing in the office, and he's like, whoa, why?
Easy.
I don't
Easy.
do that.
I feel you because,
Yeah.
my wife does that all the time. She
Yeah.
starts breaking out dancing and she looks at me like, oh, yeah,
You don't dance either.
I don't do it.
No, I can't. It's like I need to.
I think I probably do it secretly in the shower. And
Yeah. Oh, I'm a great dancer alone. When I'm all by myself, I can't clap to a rhythm either. But anyway, no, I get you. It was a good analogy. I just had to throw that out there because the dancing thing. Woo, man.
So it is hard, though. You're right, though. It's hard that abundance thing. But you were saying like looking for abundance versus looking for scarcity, and then it reminded me. What is it was the bike racer. I can't
Lance Armstrong?
Yeah, Lance Armstrong.
No, like the only bike racer.
The only bike racer, but I knew, she came up with it. Since
Yeah.
He was talking about bike riding.
Yeah.
And I remember a quote where he talked about, he's like, when you really want to make progress at Tour de France, you don't look at the obstacles, you look at the road that you're navigating on, right? Because when you watch where you're going, that's when you are focused and you succeed. But when you look at the obstacles, you run into them. So kind of
you looked right by those obstacles.
Yeah, I know. Well,
And put the blood transfusion things
Yes.
behind walls.
yes, that part of Lance Armstrong we don't want to think
don't
about,
talk
right?
But he was a great biker, right?
He was
And
an excellent
I think that.
He may not have won every single year if he had.
Yeah, but I mean, most likely, most of the rest of them were doing it too. It's all okay. I'm not going to defend
don't
Lance
know.
Armstrong. It's funny how things like that can just completely collapse people's.
they derail you.
Yeah.
And then people think that, why are you like quoting that guy?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
well,
despite his. I mean, we're all human. We have our problems, right? Despite his problems, he said some pretty profound stuff, and he did some things.
He did some things. He did amazing.
I'm not trying to defend that guy though either.
Yeah, but that was not good. What he did.
No, it was not good what he did. No.
No, I know it's so weird.
Not good. Okay, so where
There's
are we
so
at?
much not good stuff in the news.
I don't
these
want you
days,
to cut me off because I'm going to start another subject.
let me look.
And every time I do, he goes, "No, wait, save it
Oh,
for
shit.
the
Sheesh.
second half."
Second half it's time.
It's time for the second
We got to take a break. I should have known because
Hey.
it's
It's about a
Well, that went fast.
doesn't it though?
Yeah.
We're gonna get you and anyone else who really everybody who's started a podcast with me. You don't have to start it with me, but everyone who's started one has said the same thing. I've been thinking about this for a couple of years, and now that they're doing it, once that
first couple times.
that barrier's been broken through, they're so excited by it, and it doesn't have to grow huge for it to be important for things. So
Exactly.
I love that.
It's like you train to get your voice out, right? Like you just do it.
Yeah, you get
Just
out there
do
and
it.
just start talking.
Yeah.
And
how you going to run a marathon? You start running
just
a little.
start running.
Yeah.
I suppose
You know?
if you were to take that a little further, I should probably just get out on the dance floor and dance.
You should just really start to boogie.
Yeah. The Andelin's the only one who can get me to do it. My daughter.
Well,
My 8-year-old. If
Yeah.
she says dance, Dad, I'm like,
Usually,
I will dance.
Usually kids can do that. Yeah.
Yep. Doesn't matter.
till she gets older.
And then she'd be like, Dad, do not dance with me.
Right. They don't want you.
Stop moving. Stop moving.
Oh my God. You are so incredibly embarrassing. Stop it. All right.
Okay, we haven't really dove into Victor's background. Like, I'm curious what got him first in his profession.
Yeah.
But also the way that he approaches his profession is pretty awesome, and I'd like to hear how it was.
Second half,
inspired.
right?
Yeah, second
We'll do
half.
that.
Stay with us.
Okay.
We're back. We had a great little
You
chit
just
chat.
did such a good job with the second half start. You took on a different voice. Your face looked different all of a sudden. All right. So Victor, before the break, Juliet had some thoughts about kind of understanding your background, your history. Here's what I gotta say. I'll just do it because why not, right?
I don't know
just
what you're
met
gonna
you.
do.
You do it.
I just met you. No, I like reading people. You know, I spend a lot of time meeting people and kind of have to be able to read their personality. You got a real chill, kind of let me help you figure shit out sort of vibe to you. So, you know what I mean? Like you do. So I imagine that's kind of what you do, right? It's
Kind of what I do.
It's a lot of what he does. He takes himself out of the conversation by being so chill. It's not about who he is.
Well, you were talking about presence, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, if I were to say what I do, a big proportion of what I do is coach. I'm an executive coach, business coach, leadership coach. I'm even a basketball and softball coach from time to time.
Okay.
At least I used to be.
Right. When your
now
kids
that
were
my
younger?
yeah. And that was in many respects similar. I was a financial coach before. I mean, but at the end of the day, the real key to being a coach is being present.
totally.
So when you say, I like how you said, take myself out of it, it's like being present for the other person. And we were having this conversation about love and power, and actually there's some connection to the idea of having care and concern. So the people who I enjoy coaching, it's pretty easy because I have a care for them and a concern that they be successful. I'm very competitive, so if they say, here's what I want to do, then my whole objective is how
You're
going
gonna
to
help them win.
You got to win. You got to
Yeah.
win, right?
Right.
So
You're gonna
it's
help them win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do we do that? And that is where I start.
Yeah.
You know, and then it depends on the individual because some individuals, you know, do need someone to they need a space. You know, there's somebody I coach who, you know, at first I used to like get upset because I'd be like, well, you know, I asked one question, how are you doing today? And then like an hour later, she'd be done talking. And somebody said, well, you need to interrupt her. You know, that, you know, my coaching mentor would say.
We both know people like
you know people like that.
Yeah, we've, you know, and we're like, man, like, what do I do? Because I love you.
Yeah.
And I want to let
Right.
you finish.
Right.
Jesus, I got shit to do today. Like,
And, you know, my coaching mentor would say, well, you need to like, you know, you need to interrupt, you need to do things like that. And certainly there are times when that made sense.
yeah.
But there was one time when I just kind of let her go because she needed to get a whole lot out. And that's being absolutely chill. But then
That's super chill.
That's-
But you recognize that was beneficial for her in the moment,
in the moment, yeah.
right? You and that's a nice quality too, because sometimes people do, like they just need a sounding board. No one else is listening to them. They just need someone who will actually listen and absorb the thing. And then they look at you like maybe you're thinking I should give them some advice, and they're like, oh no, I'm done. I just needed to get that out.
Yeah, you're
Oh,
absolutely
thank you.
right.
Thank you. I feel better now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all good. In fact, you know, as one of my first, like when I used to do internal coaching too at a company I worked for.
Has this been a kind of a career-long thing that you've done this, or
Well,
is this recent?
You know, what happened is I spent a whole lot of time in human resources. And, you know, in human resources, there's all these different things that you do. And then I figured out that really the only thing I like doing is the piece around helping leaders be successful. And so then I cut out all the other stuff, the recruiting. No, I know you
All the
do
boring
recruiting,
crap.
but she's really good at the recruiting.
Oh, she's great
therefore
at it.
you know, and I can recruit if I have to. You know, I occasionally I take HR, consulting contracts, and can I recruit? Sure, I can recruit. Can I, help you with compliance? Can I do all those things? Absolutely. But where my passion is.
Yeah, you'd rather be in the other space.
Help you win. And to help you win in two ways, because I would say I'm a coach and a consultant, because there are differences. Coaches really operate from this idea that, hey, I know for a fact that you have the answer inside of you, and I'm just trying to help you get it out.
Okay.
So I
get that.
My analogy that I used oftentimes is, hey, Sam, we're gonna go down in that basement that you've been avoiding to go down in.
Oh, the figurative mental basement.
The mental basement.
Yeah, where I'm dancing.
Yeah, where you're dancing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
crying
the
at the
key
same time.
thing is that I do not carry the flashlight. You do.
Sure.
So I have to let you shine the flashlight where you want to shine it. Now, I might ask you a question. Why did you shine the flashlight over there? What are you looking at?
Sure, you got my back, but you're not.
Right.
But you're not guiding it.
I'm not guiding it. As a consultant, though, it's kind of like, man, I'm scared to go in the basement, right? Okay, give me the flashlight. Let's go down here and let's figure out what needs to happen, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm being I'm taking control in those situations. And
They're asking you to take lead.
asking me to take lead, and it makes sense for me to take lead.
Yeah.
So if I walk into an organization, it's one thing to facilitate a strategy, session. And I mean, because we kind of did a little bit of that,
I can't
early
wait
on.
to unpack some of this stuff, because you are nailing a whole bunch of things that sort of tick me off about the strategy coaching world, but you're doing a great job of explaining it, so I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, sure, I can help facilitate it, but the ultimate goal behind building a strategy is to execute. So,
Is it?
it should be.
Or is it to get paid for doing strategy?
Well,
Because there's a lot of people
who
out
do
there.
strategy, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's fine.
You know what I'm getting at.
But part of what I've struggled with is exactly that, is because I always say it's strategy plus execution. Because if I actually help you design a strategy, I really am not going to be satisfied unless I know that you implemented that strategy.
Right.
And that you were successful and that you got what you were looking for out of it. Because if I come back a year later and you're still doing the same old stuff, right? It's like, then you're going to say to me, it didn't work. Well, it didn't work because you didn't do it. Right? You didn't execute,
The
right?
doing of it.
Right? So I'd much rather hang out with you and say, how do we get you to do it, right? So either I help you do it by creating accountability, and that's what coaching does, right? We create accountability things to measure.
That's the coaching side of it.
That's the coaching side. Consulting it's like, okay, you don't really want to do this? Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Or I'll bring somebody in who can do it.
Yes.
And we'll get it done for you, right?
Yeah.
You have to realize, though, if I come in and do it, it's not being done in your vision. And so something that's really, really important, all businesses need a vision.
Sure. Yep.
And the only person who really knows the vision is the person who first had
true.
it.
And they may not even know it, though. They may be articulated in all their actions and all their things that they do, but they really don't know it.
Like they haven't defined it.
They haven't defined it. That's true.
And coaches, are mirrors and reflectors and perspective makers. We had talked about that. Like, what can you? So Ellen, shout out to Ellen Palmer, my coach, but she doesn't coach.
Oh.
So, yeah. So
Ellen.
She will say we're looking at something, but always from a certain point of view. So like if you hold a pen under your chin, you only can see so much of that pen. So what I feel like a lot of times, especially coaches, really just get you to hold that out there and see the entirety of what the pen is and how it works and what it does, right?
Okay.
Coaches are like showing you how to use the pen.
Yeah.
But in a sense, being a good coach in a consultant position is the master of all masters, because you can what you really want them to do is make action, right?
It's the action
most of the
part that I
time
have the
it's
most
just-
trouble with.
Most of the time, it's
Most
just a
people do.
perspective change, right? Like, where's your block? Let's get that cleared out so that you can make action on this plan that you already know what you want.
I think we're putting this. I really think we're putting it all together in a certain way, which is. I'll let you get back, but we talked about the multiplying effect of having other people in your business with you, or in whatever, like 1 + 1 = 3, which doesn't, but it does, right?
But it does.
Yeah. But when you're a solo entrepreneur and you get these people who want to coach you, that then puts all of the onus on you to be the executor, to get the work done.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But what you really want on the consulting side is you really want someone to come in and to find other people who want to do parts of what it is you need to do. But it's hard to articulate that.
Well, it's
Plus, you
like
don't have any
getting you
resources.
over
You don't
the
have any
hump.
money,
Right. You don't have money a lot of times, so therefore
Yeah.
you have to. There's a balance, right? So. Time is actually the most valuable resource.
It is.
Right? And I always struggle with this myself because we always think about it like, oh, okay, well, yeah, it's just time, right? But it's actually the most valuable because
Yes.
it's the one thing you cannot get back.
Never.
It's
gone.
There are so many multi-millionaire, billionaire people who tell you about stories when, I lost it all and then I got it all back, right?
Yeah.
That's because money can be redesigned, you can duplicate it, you can create new ways
Yeah,
to get
it's
it.
like shifting
Right.
sands or something. Yep.
But we'll never get these
They all die.
2.5 hours back. They're gone.
Don't you wish maybe you could?
Part of me. No, I'm teasing. No, but seriously, I mean,
see
you
what we
don't
did
get
there?
time back.
You see what we did?
No, right?
So when a solopreneur sits here and says, "Oh, okay, well, I don't have money," that could be true. So now it's time. How are you going to use your time? And does that mean there are lots of ways to actually leverage, which goes back to, talking about abundance, right?
Yeah.
Is that some people will do things for you without you paying them, for example. But you have to have...
It doesn't always have to be transactional.
Right.
It doesn't have to always take on a transactional nature, not fiscally or financially transactional in
Right.
a way. It can be, I will do this for you. I'll do this favor for you. We're talking about our new office that we're going to be in, and we want to bring some people into that office with us. Mm-hmm. We don't want to own each other's businesses. We don't want to take any control over anything, but we can lend a little time to someone else working next to us because that's what we've got, and it's a valuable commodity.
And that's about relationship building. So I mean, we keep going back to your love and power thing. So he's gonna have to throw something in there about it, right?
Now that
Because
we keep referring.
I use this hashtag a lot, hashtag lead with love, because not only it's a reminder to leaders that if I actually show care and concern and I love the people who I'm actually leading,
Yep.
that they will then in exchange be willing to do a lot more. Right, they're willing to be
'Cause they're
engaged,
loved.
right? But it's also a reminder that we should, as people, always lead with love, right? So if I
Wouldn't that be
lead
nice?
with actually trying to get to know you and trying to understand you, then a lot of hate is based off of fear. That's what I've understood.
Totally.
So fear and ignorance,
Yep.
and fear comes from ignorance, actually.
Yep.
So therefore, if you think about it like
Close
that,
cousins, for sure.
when I don't know you, I see you and I like every thought I had about what someone like you is comes into play, right? And this is what happens. We see someone, we have an image from our past, we had an experience, and that person looks like somebody who, we can't trust. So therefore, we don't trust them.
Right.
Right.
Not knowing that person at all.
Not knowing anything
This is a
about that person.
completely different human
right?
being over here.
It is.
But I've got these preconceived notions
You
about
know?
who you are, and I don't know if I can even talk to you.
You're right. And it's
We do it
funny
all the time.
because I do a entrepreneur class for this organization. Shout out to Neighborhood Development Center,
Okay.
NDC, and they work with people who want to start their own business, who have started their own business. They live either in an opportunity zone or they want to start a business in an opportunity zone. And it's interesting because it's really fulfilling to help people like write a business plan and figure out how am I going to actually start
Take those
business.
first steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in one of my recent classes that I had, this one participant, just they had this sideways look at me, when we first met, and it was like I was wondering, what's going on? Now, she's gonna hear this later, and she's gonna say, "This is not what happened, Victor.
This is your perspective.
This is your perspective." But it was kind of like she finally said to me, "It's like, well, you kind of reminded me of somebody who I don't like."
Oh,
But
that's a
good
powerful thing.
I trusted you.
Yeah.
Right? To like give it a chance.
yeah.
Yeah.
To see what would happen because I totally changed, and I started learning. Right? Which is, I think is important for all of us is that sometimes we just have to give people a chance.
Yeah, I mean, if you came in here and your name was Chad, I'd be like, oh, fuck.
Another Chad.
Is there a chance? You've had some bad experiences.
Oh, I just don't know if I could even talk to you.
I won't tell you about my friend named Chad.
I'm just kidding. I picked that name out and
I was wondering.
Yeah, no, that's a made up thing.
Yeah.
But I know what that's like. We get those things in our head like everybody I've met, because you had a bad experience when you were 17 with someone named Chad, then you're like, I hate all Chads forever.
It's
you can't
true.
help it.
How do you bring that to the surface? I mean, how do you in the moment
Love.
How and it is love. It's love is presence, and love is like what? Why would I be thinking about this him? Like, how do you get yourself to the point of saying, this is not the Chad I hate and loathe. This is the Chad.
This is a different person.
This is a brand new Chad, and I have an opportunity to rediscover.
Yeah, well,
That was kind of woo-woo.
that is-
Are you
yeah,
okay with
yeah.
that?
I mean,
No, I'm totally okay with it.
Okay, good.
yeah, now we're picking on Chad, whoever that is.
It's
I don't even know.
I will have to make sure my friend Chad actually listens to this. So
Yeah,
I
Chad.
can be like, hey, we kept talking about you even though we weren't.
yeah.
No, don't tell him. Don't tell him we were talking about him. Just say, hey, I was on this podcast.
We're going to have Chad on.
And then you'll know if he listened to it or not, right? He'll be
Well,
like,
he'd
yeah, I
actually be an
listened. You were
interesting
really
person
good,
for you to
Victor. And
have
he's
on.
like, you did not listen, Chad.
We're bringing Chad on.
Yeah,
Come
you
on,
might have
Chad.
to bring Chad
Let's get
on.
Chad
he's like, he's
I already
he
like
actually is
Chad.
an entrepreneur.
If you
He has
like
his
Chad,
own
I like Chad.
All right,
financial-
Chad's up next.
He's a financial guru.
I love it.
He's like,
Oh, I like
got
financial
lots of-
gurus.
Yes.
You I think of this, and I've gotten myself into a lot of trouble with this over the years.
Oh, God.
When I meet people, I assume the best of them. It's a very willful and purposeful thing. I do this on purpose.
I'm very appreciative of that.
I think I'm going to meet people, and I go into it thinking I'm going to like you. And until you prove me wrong, like I have met. Okay, so there's like around 7.5 billion people on the planet or something, and I've met 5,000 of them, 10,000 of them. Like I don't know all of the people on the planet. I don't know most of them, right? I've been screwed over by a very small percentage of people that I've ever met. I think most people, their actual intentions in this world are to be decent and to do good.
I agree.
So I walk into every situation like a kid, and I think about it this way. Like, hi, nice to meet you. What's your name? Like,
He does. Sometimes I have to.
yeah.
Brim down.
You have a little bit better, maybe radar of like,
Radar.
that one's kind of a little dangerous or something. That one's not
Misbehavior
being
before.
truthful with you.
But yeah, but
Might be
sometimes
leading.
sometimes our past experiences can damage us or create trauma so much that it is hard. I mean, it's
totally hard.
I would have to say that I don't necessarily walk into every situation trusting people, right? But
Right.
But it does help when you know something about people. I think, social media can actually be an advantage if we use it right.
True.
Because even though I think, it's not, it's supposed to be like, it's not being nosy, but there's some terminology when you actually look somebody.
Stalking.
up. So stalking, that's, yeah, that makes
It's
it sound
called
really
stalking.
good.
Yeah.
Really good.
That's really
But-
putting a label on it. Yeah.
Cyber
You're like a
If I
voyeur.
would meet somebody.
Cyber stalking.
somebody said, "Hey, I want you to meet," right? Like if I tell you who Chad is, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Hey, I want you to meet Chad." I mean, you could he could probably walk in here and you'd not have to
If
look up
you
anything.
said you should meet Chad,
Yeah.
Right.
Then we would be
100%.
happy to meet Chad. Right.
yeah. Now I trust you. It's
I
a
do this
network.
on the daily.
That's the original social network. Actually,
It is.
Is
It
us
is,
humans telling each other, "Oh, by the way, I've got this friend. You should meet them. They're great."
That's the majority of what networking is still.
I know, but then
And
they created this cyber version, and that one's sketchier.
Yeah,
and
no,
weirder.
I've never really engaged
Social
in
media.
that one. Other than people on LinkedIn randomly reach out to me, but I usually ignore them. But when someone I know makes an introduction,
Hugely
even if I don't know them
impactful.
very well, if someone I know makes an introduction, I will go over the moon for that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you trust that person, right? So, it's the same reason why companies tend to say, hey, if you're an employee, if you refer someone, we'll give you a little extra money, right? It's because there's this belief that, first of all, you work here, so why would you bring a slug to come work with you, right? That would be the first thing.
Yep.
Secondly, it's like, well, if they work like you do, then I have to trust that they're going to be good employees too, right? So that's going to be true for most employees. So I think that there is something to, knowing people is really, really important. And that's, so whether it's stalking or not, the whole idea is getting comfortable or getting acquainted with someone so that you actually know who they are.
That's right.
And so what is the method you use to do that? That's,
For me, it's
whatever
podcasting.
For you, it's podcasting.
This is why I don't do research.
And that was interesting.
Before I very purposefully stay away from any information about the people coming in. I trust Juliet. I trust my own instincts. I know that we're not going to have someone in here who shouldn't be here. And I want to get to know them genuinely in the moment like this. I just really enjoy it.
And that's cool. I found that very refreshing about you. So
thank you.
Yeah.
So coaching versus consulting. And this whole, the thing that's come up repeatedly between the two of us and with other people is that there are a lot of people who've gotten into the consulting and coaching, like business coaching, business consulting world, right? Like everyone's doing it. And I think some people are particularly good at it, and I think others are maybe not. People can sort that out for themselves. But when it comes to marketing especially, we get this a lot, where people, every time you speak to someone generally in marketing and you say, I'd like to do some better marketing for my thing, they say, well, let's do some consulting on that first, and we'll get you a plan, right? And then when it comes time to execute, there's not necessarily a direct path to executing that plan. And then it's maybe left up to you, and you don't know how to do the things that they're even talking about. It's kind of this high level thing.
It's the same as what we were talking about before. Like, you don't leave an executable plan because you know that they don't have the resources
They can't
to
do
be able
it.
to do that. And
So the consulting side of what you're doing is where you're taking more of a role in the actual doing of the thing after you have you've taken your assessment of the situation and you say, okay, I'll help you. I'm doing this.
Yeah, and I think something key, and this is where I'm marry the two things of being a coach and a consultant. Is that I'm also coaching you to understand that you can do more than you think you can, but there's also a pace you want to go at, right? Yeah. So if you are a solopreneur, you don't have the resources, well, why would I actually write a plan? Why would we put together a plan that you can't execute?
You can't possibly get it done
anyway. That doesn't
anyway.
make any sense.
Yeah.
Right? So whether it takes you 5 days or 5 years to get your business up and off the ground, there are different ways to do it. As an example, with that entrepreneur class that I teach, or whatever, facilitate, I don't know what you want to call it. One of the things that I ask each and every one of them is, okay, so when do you ideally want this to happen? And then we go through a process in the beginning that says, well, are you ready? where are you at in your readiness journey in
Yep.
order for you to be able to do this? And that goes that's more than just finances. There's lots of things.
There's so many things involved.
I mean, if you're a single mom and you got kids at home, where are you going to find 20 hours a day to actually like work on your business? You're not, right? You're going to be lucky to find 20 minutes. So you need to be smart about it. But there are examples. There are examples I can, refer to. Somebody I know who actually used to work on their plan. They got up an hour early every day.
Yep.
And they spent an hour working on their business before they went to work, and then they worked all day, but they used their creative juices right away in the morning. All it cost them was they had to go to sleep 1 hour early
Right.
every night, right? So you know what? Maybe don't watch the last episode from the Netflix series that you've been binging, right? So,
Every hardcore entrepreneur I know,
you gotta
they
binge.
can't. They don't. They do, but they do not consume
No.
too much. Like they're constantly working on stuff. Everyone else is maybe watching a series
Right.
or a TV show, and you talk to most of the business owning hardcore entrepreneurs, and they're like, "Oh, I haven't seen that one yet," or "I haven't seen that one
Or
yet."
no, this is more what I hear is like they'll start it, they'll
Yeah.
see 2 episodes,
Yeah.
and then they'll be
Yeah,
like,
like-
I don't have time to commit
Yeah.
to this.
Yeah, I just
right?
don't
And
have
then
the
go back,
time.
and then they'll hear about another series.
Yeah.
You know what I do is, like, to be honest, I mean, my wife and I, we'll start something on, like, we do it on Saturday because, like, first of all, we have date night on Saturday.
Yeah.
But then you come back home and you start watching like a Netflix series, and then you're watching until you both are exhausted and pass out, And,
Yeah.
And then the next Saturday you just, okay, where were we at with that? Oh, okay. Then you just,
14 and a half
so then
minutes
you're
in.
always doing it. You kind of know what
Yeah.
to expect, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. But I mean, quite honestly, I mean, it's one of these things where I work well with noise because I have four daughters, and like growing up, there's always
don't know what you're
noise,
saying.
right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
So like the TV in the background is background, right? So I'm a big sports
sure.
person, right?
Yeah.
Well, the game can be on, but I'm not really watching it until you hear the announcer actually, the tone of their voice pops up. And then it's like, oh, okay, what did I miss?
Something serious
But it's
happened.
great because now all you got to do is hit the little button and like go back. It goes back 15 seconds and then you can watch it.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
my
like,
gosh,
okay,
you and my
good.
husband,
It's like-
he's like a walking chaos situation. He's got to have a TV on that has the sound on, a TV on that doesn't have sound on.
I don't do all that.
And then he's got some music also going on, and most of the time it's a radio station. So the majority of what he's listening to are commercials.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh God, I need more zen.
Okay, I
in my
don't do
space.
that, but okay.
Marriage is such a wonderful.
But I do this. Like I have like 2 computer screens, and it's like actually 3, because I have a laptop that I just pull out and it's in my bag right now.
Yep.
Like, and then I have another station where it has 2 more screens, and so I can just move stuff around, right? Because it's like I have a bad habit of opening stuff up. This is the entrepreneur part,
Yep.
right? Open up a window. And it's like, yeah, this is going to be really interesting.
So I'm going to save that. Then I'm going to open another
Yep,
tab.
and I'm opening another
my
tab,
God.
and another tab, and then you know what happens? All of a sudden they're like
You're like, I was
the
supposed to sit-
Microsoft reboot thing, and like all the tabs are gone. So it's like, okay, well,
starting afresh.
we'll start fresh.
Or someone, for God's sake, sees all the tabs that you have open, and there's lots of people that gives enormous anxiety to. They're like,
Nothing worse.
"What do you
than
have all
the-
those tabs open?" I'm like, yeah, I need all those.
I had a coaching client that saw that, and it like really like destroyed everything. It was like, oh my gosh.
Well, get an
They
Apple
laugh.
because if it does need to reboot, it'll pull
It'll
up what it
pull
was
back
last
up.
there.
Yeah, the
Google
problem
tests.
is that but I have started cleaning up periodically now. It's like I really I do this thing Saturday morning. It's like, okay, what can I toss?
Good.
Right? Whether it's physical environment or like virtual, right? It's like, what can I toss? And I started doing that now. So it's like it's very helpful because it makes you feel so much better. Even if you
Yeah.
haven't done anything.
So, how does your wife deal with all of that? Like,
Well, she's on.
when did you meet your wife? Did you meet her here in Minneapolis?
I did, actually.
Did Prince
yeah.
introduce you to her?
No, Prince did
okay.
not. I was
I'm
kind of
imagining she can
Solid-
dance.
She actually can.
She can dance.
Solid question.
She can dance, yes. But no, actually, I played a lot of not fast pitch, softball when I first came to Minneapolis,
Okay.
And I played on all these different teams because there's a single guy. This is really a good, if you got any like inkling to play a little softball, you then go play for all these different bars and restaurants.
Okay.
I see where you're going with this.
And you know what happens is after you come back,
I
from
think
the
I
game,
know.
they want you to come back, and then they give you free
Celebrate
food.
you.
They
You got
give
some French fries. You got some chicken wings.
You got open bar for a while. You got all this stuff, right?
Years.
And you're bringing on. Part of it is because you also bring your fans.
Of course.
Yeah.
So like your family, your friends, all that stuff, and they come and so they're like making money because it's like you guys are out there.
That's a fair
name on it.
transaction in a transactional world. That's a fair one. Yeah.
So I mean,
We'll give you some free
remember
wings.
Champs, right? Champs.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of the teams I used to play for.
Champs,
yeah.
champs. Where was
I shouldn't
that?
have
In
said
St.
that.
Paul?
Champs had multiple locations.
Yeah. Champs is a chain. Champions was a place on
yeah.
Lake Street.
I think I'm thinking of Joe.
Champs is defunct now, so I don't have to say it.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Not a
think
sponsor in the future.
Maybe that's why I brought them up as like a fan. There might still be one in Richfield.
I
don't know.
feel like there's still a Champs in Richfield.
Yeah, there might still.
I know where you're
That
talking.
might have been the original one too.
Yeah.
So.
Right there.
But
by
I have
the
no
hub.
idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, she played softball also.
I see where it's going.
And so I played both on men's teams and co-ed teams. And then-
Co-ed one paid off.
And one of the men's teams, there was one of the guys I played with, his wife was just determined to like.
To hook you up
To
with
set
that
you
one.
up. Yeah. I know that where this is leading. Yeah.
So, she had me come to one of her women's games and she's like, hey, Vic, who you?
Oh, this isn't obvious at all, but would you like to meet my friend?
You just happened to be here, and so does she, looking
Yeah.
good.
And I was like, the one in left field, that one.
Yeah. My husband and I did solidify a relationship over softball. Now, I am an okay softball player. Like, I can catch and throw and run, but I found that I couldn't hit the ball with a bat, which seems like an
That is
important
unnecessary,
issue.
yeah.
And I was really pissed off at myself because I'm competitive, maybe not as competitive as you, Victor, but I'm competitive.
Yeah.
And I thought, why am I such a badass at everything else? And then later in life, I figured out that I'm left eye dominant and right-handed.
Oh.
And I should have been batting the other way.
Oh.
So are you going to go
so you
pick
should
it
have
up?
batted left-handed.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But I now I know. Now I know.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
I had no
I know
idea, and my eye doctor taught it to me. And also, I could shoot a handgun.
Yeah.
I went to a gun shooting thing. I could shoot a handgun like spot on because you don't really aim with handguns. You just like aim at that
Kinda,
spot,
yeah.
right? You kind of. But a shotgun, I could not because
So,
I kept looking
in
out of the
riflery-
wrong eye.
Yeah, in riflery, because I had this career once where I worked with these kids and they did this thing. Anyway, but yeah, if you are, it's rare that you're right hand dominant, left eye dominant, or vice versa. But when it happens, you have to do things completely differently than most people do it.
Yeah, I had no
Yeah.
idea, and it was late in my
really
so my
Yeah.
eye doctor figured it out because she was going to give me one contact, so it didn't affect my short vision. I'm sure a lot of people out there have the same thing. You just wear one eye contact, and she's like, "Well, which is your dominant eye?" And I'm like, "Do people know that? I don't know. What's my dominant eye? I'm right-handed. Must be my right eye." And she goes, "Usually." And then she rolls up a piece of paper and hands it to me and says, hold this up to your eye and look through it.
Yeah.
And I did it on
And which one? Which
my left
point
eye.
moves?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
she said, whatever eye you put it up to is your dominant eye.
Yeah.
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 I remember that test now.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Oh yeah, that too. Yes, you can figure it out by if you look through both eyes, right, and then you close one, the object moves. Whichever one is the one where it doesn't move, is
Is-
your
Oh, I have
is your
contacts
dominant
in.
eye.
It doesn't.
Mine's
I have
still right.
contacts in. Yeah.
This is super entrepreneurial.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Sorry.
Way deep.
Sorry.
Ooh, man.
No, I mean,
Okay. Well,
you
last
asked me.
words. Let's do our.
Whoa, we got a whole segment we got to get through.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, let's do this. Ready?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So, and what about this idea? We always come up and we put our guests on the spot for
Real quickly. Yeah.
what their idea is.
What's a big idea that?
It's your big idea.
that it doesn't even have to be a good one. It doesn't have to be something that will work. But you're floating around with something in there that's.
I'm
been sitting
floating
there.
around with something you think so.
Yeah. yeah. There's something in there.
Think I'm thinking of something.
There's something in there you've been sitting on for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, what am I sitting on? Boy.
Some big idea.
We should have warned them. We really put them on the spot here.
I know, we
at the
need to put it in
tail.
there.
Yeah, and I
Like,
listen
note
to
we
the
send out
podcast,
to them.
So I should know that. But,
Yeah.
you know, I don't.
Well, we only started after who was it? Well, I'll think of it in a minute. But we only started after one of our lovely guests was
That we
like
can't remember.
I
Yeah.
can remember. I just can't in the moment. I never do names in the moment. But it was like, why aren't you going to ask me about my idea? Because it's what about this idea is the
Yeah,
name of the
that's the
show,
name of the show.
right? And we're
So
like,
she came going ready to tell us her
Kelsey
idea.
Sharp.
And we're like, this is brilliant. We're going to use this.
Kelsey Sharp.
It was Kelsey.
Yep. But anyway, yes. Yeah. Like, oh, yeah, we should be asking people. And I'm trying to give you a little time to think, right?
Yeah.
This is the whole.
Yeah, but I've
Do
been
you have a
listening
big
to
idea
you,
this
so
week?
You were listening. No, I think I've shared with you my big idea, which is I hate co-working spaces right now. I think co-working spaces are not, they're like, come and sit next to people that you're not really working with, you're not collaborating with, but you sit next to them and
You're
then you feel,
co-officing. Is
you're
what you said to
co-opposing.
me.
You
Yeah.
feel you feel like you're in an office with other people, but none of you have any. Like maybe you make some friends, maybe you do something, and I'm sure the social part of it's fine. And I don't hate them. I just don't like them very much. The co-working spaces. But I think what we're thinking of and the idea that we kind of had this week was, or I don't like to take credit for things.
It is yours. It was your idea.
Is more of a small collaborative office where maybe you've got 6 entrepreneurs. They're all working on different things, but like you were saying earlier, time is valuable. I'm really good at writing. I can sit down. You tell me something that you need, and I'll just sit and write. And 15 minutes later, I've got the little story written out for you or whatever, right?
Or someone in the group is good at finance, or
Yeah.
someone in the group has a podcast studio, or
Yeah, so you
someone in the
turn
group
to
is
one of
great at
us.
marketing.
That's right.
Or someone in the group is, and so you co-office, like really co-work together, where you're
It's
not
like
working on the same
co-parenting.
business,
Right.
but
You
you
have
have
different
you have this team to talk to.
Yeah. And in fact, even though you're not working for the same business, you have like a weekly or bi-weekly meeting where you all get together and you talk about business stuff, but you don't actually control my thing.
You're not gonna believe me, but I actually had this similar idea. It was called Change. I called it Change Makers Collaborative.
Oh, I do believe you.
And I actually even had a group of entrepreneurs where we would meet. We didn't get to the point of, hey, we have a space.
Yep.
Somehow it didn't have enough energy. Maybe it was too early. But that was one of the ideas. But now, like, as I think about, okay, how can I help, first generation entrepreneurs live in their legacy? Part of that is like there's all these different things that they need. And so I don't have a physical office, but the idea of creating a virtual team of different resources makes sense. But if you could put everyone together, that 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, like how many ever, equals.
I mean,
20.
Juliet knows so many amazing people. I know.
Yeah,
a
I
bunch
noticed
of great
that pretty much all the guests tend to be hers, but
Not all of them.
so maybe the only ones I listen to, I don't know, but I'm just teasing.
No, it's good.
It's
good. I have largely let her book the guests for this show. It's totally true. I've brought in a few too, but I think we've been on such a good track with the show that I don't really feel like I need to fix anything. It's not broken, you know?
No, actually, I mean, I think there's value in being able to bring in all these different people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because if your idea makes a lot of sense. I mean, and you're about to, is that public?
I think we're
knowledge?
going to
Move
do it.
space.
Oh yeah, we're definitely
You're gonna
doing
move
it.
We're going to
space,
do
so
it.
then
I
you
think we
do
have
it,
to brand
right?
it. We're going to brand it, and then
It'll
we're
be
going to
under-
invite people to apply to be a part of it.
We're gonna be
Yeah, because that was important.
Yeah.
When I was thinking about this with somebody, is that you couldn't just say anybody could
No.
be a part of this. They literally needed to go through this process, and we decided that as you get invited, like if you got invited in, then all of us are involved in deciding if Sam gets invited in, right?
It has to be
like,
that way.
you
You put
know.
the wrong person in that setting, you have to curate this because if
Yeah.
you put the wrong person in that
It's
setting,
just
it
like
throws
building
the
a
whole
board,
offing.
really. Like,
True.
yeah, a board of directors, really. And board of directors, a lot of times you have a finance person, you have an environmental person. Not enough board of directors have tech people, but that needs to be on there.
Or fantastic retained executive search
Yeah, exactly.
folks.
Right? It was, but
Just saying.
And it shifts according to the way the world is shifting and what
Yeah.
entrepreneurs need and growth stage companies need. And I think it's less about resources, and a lot of times that we have gathered groups around resources and investment, and I feel like that's fine, but it's not. That's not what we're talking about here.
It's
like
collaboration.
creating a family of people who are dedicated to making each other successful.
Yeah.
And we come from very diverse points of view, but we are committing to being a family of business.
Yeah, I like that.
I think
like that.
I think of like starting a business as raising a kid, right? And if you've got your little business baby there, and you've got a group of people who can help you watch it every now and again. Like, I just need 15 minutes. Can you can you watch
Can you
for
watch
It
the
is so
baby?
much like that. It is.
It is.
really is.
Yeah.
Because we actually said something about that, right? It's like kind of being a parent. Nobody tells you exactly what it takes to be a business owner, and then all of a sudden you just kind of figure it out over time. It's like,
Yep.
oh yeah, it's like,
That's
here's what
what
I
it
gotta
is.
do.
Oh, it's a
Yeah.
lot of
And
work.
it isn't always the same.
No.
And it's easy to put labels on it. Like, you have to be able to deal with ambiguity. You have to
just search it
see
on Google,
problems
you'll
as
figure
just
it
a blip
out.
on the screen. You have to, you have to be resilient. You have to, be able to shift on a dime. Like, all those things sound like great advice, but when it comes down to it, it's not obvious that's what's happening when you deal with it. And so that's why being a business owner is hard, and that's why we want to create a community around
Well, and that's
building that.
That's why when we started this show too, this is if you look for shows about entrepreneurship, they're usually very formulaic, and they have these like, this is how you. I mean, people just love this stuff. Like, here's the 7 key steps you need to take for success,
Yeah.
right? It's like,
Because that's what marketing people will tell you.
oh my God, it drives me nuts.
But it works. People open it up. People read your piece, right? When
They
you
do.
say, here's the 7 things, right? Or
My God, I just put a piece out, 10 steps.
yeah.
I did, actually.
You did.
It was good steps.
You know what? I'll help you with the next one. It'll have Sam's stamp of approval on it. It'll be like
You coulda.
162 different steps you can take, so that it's so arbitrary and weird.
259,000 steps.
Yeah, that's right.
But it should be an
because then you
equation,
can
like
publish
square
it
root.
as a series, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like a decision tree.
Yeah.
Like, if yes,
Then,
go this
right?
way.
It's
Because
like
that's more realistic.
and take a little picture that you stick in the article that nobody can read,
That's right.
Because it's like, okay,
Yep.
it's so small. It's like, wow, that's
Yeah.
really amazing.
Yeah. You know who's not going to sponsor us?
What?
7stepstosuccess.com.
Is there such a thing?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't have
Maybe.
it.
I mean, I just did 10 steps.
Oh, maybe 10 steps.
But
will
the
though.
idea, so it's a marketing ploy, right? Like, I guess people say if you put 10 steps, it's like, oh, I can handle that. I can digest 10 steps.
Yeah, people. I mean, you typically do it in sets of some.
I know.
3s, 5s, whatever.
The real advice comes in conversations like this. The real advice comes when you're hanging out with people who have been through the same type of thing. Like, if you read the book about how to parent, that's a great building block, maybe, right? But actually parenting, You learn
Right.
from your friends.
Yeah.
Because
learn from the
every
people around you.
child is different.
That's right.
So it's like, and same is true of every business, right? Even if it's the same business, it looks
Exactly.
different. So
It's a new day. It's new people.
idea.
All right. We've given you the time.
You did give me time. There was something that a long time ago that I had
Yeah.
on financing that I thought was that I thought is a no-brainer, but maybe it is more complicated than that. But people who are looking to, get financing for something and they having trouble, like you were talking about, like financially getting credit or something like that, but they are great employees, right?
Yep.
What if the employer were to were the one to take out the car loan for the employee, and then the employee through their paycheck, it comes out as an automatic payroll deduction out of their paycheck.
Ooh,
right?
I can totally what you're saying.
Actually, then the company gets loyalty from a very good employee. Now, this doesn't. I mean, you don't give it to an employee who you don't really
You don't trust. I
you
mean,
don't trust, but employees who you do trust, having a way for them to access things that they might not have been able to access, right?
I actually believe
And now
this.
you can actually build loyalty for
That's
the employee
right.
too, because they're going to be willing to stay, and they don't want to leave because they'd have to pay back the whole car loan at that point in time.
Sure, they'd have to assume the loan.
Yeah.
It was your husband, Forrest, who was talking about the loyalty of some of the employees at Bell.
Yeah.
And how, you work these jobs, like these are the people who sort of get forgotten. They work those jobs for 25, 30 years, and they actually truly love the business, and they identify themselves. Their whole work life has been there. There's a reason they put all of their time into that. Yeah, those would be the type of employees that you would want to try and help out in those
Well,
areas.
that's exactly right. And there are, the values and the mission of a company that sometimes is inspiring, but,
Yeah.
Unless you're super connected to that, that's not going to be staying power.
No.
It's not going to get you through the hard times. And
No.
every position is going to have a hard time.
Well, and helping your employees improve their own lot in life and giving them, okay, so you need a car loan, you don't have the credit for it. We can help you get that. You can pay us back through your direct work, which you would be doing that anyway if you
Right.
went and got a car. And in doing so, now we've given you the ability to get back and forth to work every day
Yes.
in a comfortable and safe
It's a good
way.
idea.
I like this.
Safe
Like it.
way. And
I
you're
like it.
building your credit too because you're paying back a loan, and there's a lot of things like that. I mean, I know at some level that works too with housing as well. Not exactly sure, but I'm sure my wife has her.
Oh, I'm sure you could make
she's
some
thinking it
argument for how that would
through
work. Yeah.
from that standpoint, because I said I have multiple businesses, so my wife and I do property investment as well. So it's like that's always been a dream, is like, how do you actually help those who can't really afford a situation like this, but yet you're still building or renovating spaces that people really want to live in.
Yeah.
Right? Affordable housing a lot of times is this thing where you go and you look at it and you say, yeah, well, I don't really want to live there.
Now I know
It's-
why it's
it's
affordable.
like- it's-
right.
Yeah, and it's like school lunches and stuff, right? Like if we want our kids to learn, you can't feed them the crap that we're feeding them, right?
Right.
If you want your employees to be happy and healthy, you can't house them in places that make them
You
feel
can't pay them
Right.
the amount that they can't afford a proper place.
Right.
So if employers were, looking at building, and there are employers like who have built communities, and I think it's been successful. So I mean, it's like if you think about how do you actually, turn that around and also help
I like it.
employees, but gain a little more financial stability and stuff like that.
I like it.
Yeah.
It
too.
could be, more of a program than an actual.
Yeah, it's not a business.
Yeah, it's not necessarily its own business, but it's kind
But
of
it's
like
a
a
big
program
idea.
that you put out
Exactly.
there. It is a big idea, and it could be brought into the modern age where it would I mean,
Especially
that's
this
you are trying to
generation.
fix the world
You are, damn it.
No.
a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, but aren't we all kind of?
I hope so.
Well,
Yeah.
hopefully.
I mean, you certainly are with like the way in which you like, hey, I want like everybody to like really trust people and like know that there's something that everybody's trying to do. They're not trying to like do bad, right?
I don't think most people are.
Most people don't, and we just have to help people sometimes, translate their actions.
And that's you,
be a
the
little more
coach.
consistent. That would be, that's one of the things that coaches
Yeah.
do.
That's you, the coach. I love it.
All right.
All right, Victor.
Okay.
We
what
have
do we
killed
do?
it.
We killed it. What do we do? We'll link to show in the show notes. We'll link to your business, all of that stuff, so people can find you.
We have to put the hashtag, AJ,
Hashtag
lead with love.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
lead with love.
Lead with love.
I
All
love
right.
it. Thanks a ton for coming in. This was really fun.
This was. I
Yeah.
agree.
Good.
Thanks.
Victor.
All right, get your show off the ground.
I will.
That's right.
Okay.
We're here for you,
right.
too. Yeah.
We'll
All
help.
right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.